Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Culture Podcast, where we ignite the sparks of innovation. I'm your host, Jim Mayer, and I have an exceptional treat for you today. Picture this: a janitor in a commercial product manufacturer with curiosity as his compass transforms into a cornerstone of the industry. Today's guest is not just a manufacturing expert, he's the embodiment of the started from the bottom, now we're here narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our guest, a third generation manufacturing maverick, Nate Ankrum. Starting with a mop and an inquisitive mind, Nate defied odds, asked the right questions, and steadily climbed the corporate ladder. Having operated on both sides of the industry, from customer service supplier of capital expenditures to program management with top tier customers, Nate's broad experience has shaped his unique and valuable perspective. Now he uses these insights to lead Genuine Machine, a build to print precision component and assembly contract manufacturer at the forefront of the aerospace and defense industry. But don't let his impressive resume fool you. Off duty, Nate is just as dedicated to his personal life, cherishing time spent with his wife, their two uniquely beautiful daughters, and their close knit circle of family and friends. Prepare to dive deep into power, propulsion, control of fluid, flight, air, and thermodynamics. We're about to unpack the journey of a lifetime, the career of a visionary, and the world of Genuine Machine under Nate's leadership. Buckle up, folks, for an adventure with Nate Ankrum. This is a ride you won't want to miss. Hello, Nate. Welcome to the Manufacturing Culture Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
Jim, I'm doing great. I really sincerely appreciate you having me, and it is an honor to be selected. So thank you so very much for allowing me to represent manufacturing as a whole. Our industry, aerospace, also some semiconductor, and as well as our humble little facility out here in Gilbert, Arizona, Genuine Machine Products.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. And Nate, this wasn't a hard decision. I've been following Genuine Machine on social media for quite some time. And about 6 to 9 months ago, I really saw a change in the social media presence of the organization, and saw how much you recognize your employees. And so that's what prompted me. We actually connected after being on LinkedIn, connected on LinkedIn for a while. We met in person at a ATMA meeting here in Arizona, and as soon as I realized it was you, I asked you to be on the show. I had to have you as a guest, so I appreciate you being on.
Yeah, like I said, I'm honored. It's such a phenomenal industry, and the NTMA and the ATMA are just great organizations. If you're not in, get in. They're definitely going to help you, and you'll get to connect with guys like Jim. And so, pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, and they're wonderful organizations. I used to be a staff member for the national group, been a part of the Arizona chapter here for probably about a decade now. I love it. It's there's no place quite like it for people in our industry.
Yeah.
Nate, that being said, tell us a little bit more about Genuine Machine. Tell us what's going on, how many employees you have, what industry do you serve? Tell us more about the company.
Absolutely happy to. So we are in our 27th year of operations. We are in Gilbert. We've slowly taken over all the suites. We started with one simple bay. We have 74 employees right now. We're looking to onboard another 12.
Wow.
So we are blessed with a lot of good opportunities and work right now, and really looking forward to finding people that are like-minded with our values, our culture. So that being said, back to the drawing board. So Brad Gottwald's our owner. Brad was working for his father and his older brother, Doug, who worked for Brad, and they're just down the road from us. Mm-hmm. So Robert Gottwald recognized that Doug and Brad weren't going to get along, brothers being brothers. So he approached Brad, said, "Hey, you should probably break out on your own here," and he supported that. That's how Genuine got its start. And 10 months into working in a little 2,500 square foot bay his dad leased to him, he started with a welder, and he started with a Newcomer Tomei TMC 300. We still have it. I think it has sentimental value.
Absolutely.
But that's how the company was built. It started with a first vendor code. We've been serving and married to, and we are a great partner to serve Honeywell. So we've started with them, and we've been with them the entire time.
Wow.
So we went from that to where we're at now in our campus over here. We're in 2 buildings. So we grew from the 2,500 to start into 7,500 square foot feet. We now have 63,500 square feet.
Wow.
And yeah, we've got a lot of empty space. And the reason I decided to add on to it is because we have potential project. It's very costly to move businesses of our size due to the regulations that we abide by under ISO 9001, AS 9100, and per our customers.
Sure.
So our industries that we serve, we are aeronautic and astronautic. So essentially we are in aerospace, space and defense. So we do a lot of civilian aircraft. Most of our components end up going on to Airbus and Boeing.
Okay.
In addition to that, we do a lot of defense, and the defense aspect, we're on a lot of programs for our other customers that we serve. I'll just say that we're on the fighter jets. We're also on the rockets and the missiles and the hypersonics, and what else? We just broke into semiconductor a couple of years back.
Good for you.
We're learning. Yeah, we're learning a great deal, and we are blessed with a customer that's taken a chance on us. We are coming up that learning curve slowly, but we'll get there. And it's an exciting thing because now we're all learning again, and it's like, oh, we have to do this different. Oh, we can't do that. So it's interesting.
Nate, when did you join Genuine?
Veterans Day of 2019. So 11/11/19.
Wow. Okay.
And that was intentional. I felt like that was a lucky number. And most of my friends are former or they are active duty military personnel.
Yeah.
So I really want to do my job and protect the warfighter. And so I take a lot of pride in what we do, and I get really upset with myself or if we're late or if we're not able to make a product get to the lines in time to feed their supplies. So,
yeah. Wow. Okay. So you've been there going on almost 4 years.
Almost 4.
Now.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty neat. Nate, so let's get into the first big question that I ask all my guests. What has been your cultural journey at Genuine Machine? Where was the culture when you started nearly 4 years ago? Where is it now? And where do you want to get it to?
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll start with, let me take you back to the dewy slopes of November of 19.
All right, let's do it. Pre-COVID and everything. Let's do it.
Exactly. Hey, we're going to have a stellar year. We just came off our banner year. Look at the numbers, look at the metrics, look at what we got installed. And essentially, I was getting downloaded and uploaded from our board, and I wasn't allowed to kind of come into the facility because it was going to be kind of an announcement that Brad was going to make once I arrived.
Sure.
So I didn't get a lot of time with the players that were in the executive leadership team at the time, the management team and the lead team that's on the floor. And ultimately, it became evident within the first, it sounds egotistical, but it became evident within the first couple of weeks that I had some folks that didn't really understand why they were doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
So we started to expose gaps. We started to also expose some, I'm going to be honest, a little toxic. It was a little toxicity, and there were some poison wells out there.
Yep.
And I was getting ingrained into the weeds, which I needed to do to understand what was happening, why it was happening. So I was really spinning my wheels. And then when the layer of the the craziness with the pandemic happened, it really accelerated it. So I'm this is going to sound odd, I was thankful that happened.
I think a lot more good came from the pandemic than people really care to admit sometimes. I mean, for me, I got to spend an immense amount of time with my family. And for somebody who had been on the road for the better part of 20 years at that point. I'd miss soccer games and ballet recitals and birthdays and all that kind of fun stuff. Having that time with my family where everybody was just a captive audience was actually kind of special. And it sounds like different but similar. You had it was a positive for you as well.
Yeah, on the personal side, I agree with you. I used to travel a significant amount, 32 to 36 weeks a year.
Wow.
And that had kind of calmed down over the few years leading into January, but I was still traveling. Traveling's not as fun as people think, as you know. And with addition to that, I know that, where was I? Just lost my train of thought there. The pandemic forced us all kind of in. And I had right then and there realized, and I remember it was March 13th. So I had left on a trip on March the 5th, March the 5th of 20.
Yep.
Everything was fine. Come back March the 12th. It's like, where's the toilet paper? Why is there no pasta? What the heck happened?
Yeah, absolutely.
People are wearing masks and then they're saying evil things about other people. And it's like, oh, I have no idea what the heck's going on because we were removed for a week. And I came in and I brought the folks in. I read up on the guidance on this and started to talk to the personnel, individual bases in our large conference room. And that's when I sensed that we really were missing that galvanization. And I also realized that they hadn't really been spoken to, or it's like, what do you think about that? And it's taken a while to get them to talk up, but we're there now. But going back though, it was siloed. Quality wasn't at the center of the organization as it desires, and inside the center of that and on the outside of everything else is safety. Yeah, because safety protects lives and quality protects work. Yep. So I recognize that. Our teams that support at the pleasure of the factory floor were blaming the factory floor, and the folks on the factory floor didn't have a voice. So we started to have to change all of those things, and you can't do it all overnight. And my naivety as a young president, I'm go. And I was just burning myself out, started to realize who was in my quote unquote foxhole and who I thought was in my foxhole too. So we went through all those migrations from 20 into 21. And when I started to seek out a coach, so I went into the Vistage group, and they are phenomenal. They've really significantly helped me really process my issues and understand it's always nice to have someone that you realize is going through the same thing, or they've already been through it. Yep. So it started to make me a little bit more positive, because at that point, Jim, I was really getting weighed down because I have compliance. I have to deal with the local municipality, the state, the Fed, all the stuff that was coming down from the CDC. So all I could do really was keep them calm by staying in front of them a lot. And so I would do that. It was exhausting from the sense that I would spend pretty much almost half a day having to talk to the whole team because I couldn't bring in more than groups of 6 or 8. Wow. And it was just fielding their questions, tough questions. I got to know them a little bit deeper as a person, whether they knew that I was really listening and understanding their character or not. It highlighted to me also where there's a lot of muda, where we had waste, where we're not listening to our people. So that's a waste of talent, right? So it's like, well, we need to start listening to these folks. And so we installed a feedback loop on the floor. So Genuine Machine has computer stations at all of their workstations for the manufacturing equipment, which was very new for me. I'm used to having the MOT and the paperwork packets flow out. Yep. I understand, but it allowed this opportunity to say it's automatic. It's right then and there. They can go to any workstation that they want, log in, and tell us what they think needs to be done to this job, or whether it's product specific, operation specific, or a generalization. We created that process in 20, and we started to see a lot of good inputs, which then exposed other things, such as getting the support departments to realize that they support at the pleasure of the factory. And we are still working that. And it's being in manufacturing for so long and being, the blue collar guy in a white collar office, it's like, I guess I'm baby blue if you blend them together.
Oh,
So
that could be my most favorite thing that I've ever heard. First, I didn't know that you would be able to top a blue collar person in a white collar office. I thought that was spectacular. But then to throw in the baby blue, that just really was icing on the cake. I appreciate that. I almost spit out my coffee. Thank you.
I appreciate that. You almost made me deaf with your laughter.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some sound adjustments when I go through the post on this one. Wow, that was good.
Yeah, but we it started to expose that okay, we need to get some fundamental training, and we need to start to bring in some of my concepts from my Six Sigma and Lean background. I am not certified or accredited. It's just a natural thing for me to flex into that. Some of it has to do with spending time in Japan and getting trained by the Japanese for some of the builders that we represent. And it's just in their culture and they emanate it. And I absolutely loved it. I loved how everything's organized. And well, all of us as humans are pretty much, we have three things on in our brain all the time. We're the controller, the judge. What's the other one? The perfectionist.
Yeah.
And so being a perfectionist and a controller, I always liked all of that. But when I really applied it in a prior life and I saw how those things took off, I said, that's what we need to do, Jim. I said, I'm going to bring in a sensei. We're going to do a book club. We're going to read the Lean Manager. It is pretty much a storyline, by the way, this Lean Manager book. It's about 600 pages long, so it's a bit of a read. But the whole team did it and mind you, this is also when we're in the pandemic and work went from, hey, there, look at all this water under the boat. And then it's like the water's out, we're seated, we're naked, kind of exposed that. So we were able to sit down and start doing improvement activities. And so in that, we taught the entire team here at the time. At that time, we had about 85 folks. And I was shocked at my mistake. I realized that the people that loved it, you knew because they were working, they were excited. And the people that didn't understand it or want to take to get the time to understand it were exposed as well. So we had to start to make some difficult decisions. And I realized then, like I did in the first few weeks of being here, I may have to make some decisions to change some personnel out. So I'm one of the types that I have a big heart and I'm empathetic type of leader, but I'm also very serious. I'm a competitor because my life's purpose is to just do two things, and that's provide and protect. Yep. And so that's my tribe. That's my wife. That's my kids. It's my tribe here. It's my tribe of my family. And now it's pretty awesome that I have opportunities like this, Jim, to sit down and talk to you. Because 2 years ago it was pretty hot and heavy trying to make these changes and come up with these decisions and be confident about them. Because unfortunately, most of us in business, not just our industry, they tend to lead with insecurities and not confidence. And so I want to make sure that my team and my leaders and whoever we're sponsoring or we want to promote, they lead with the same level of confidence, because insecurities is where it gives birth to those anger emotions like frustration, and then it can turn into toxicity, and we don't need that. And by no means is genuine perfect, but we have made a lot of great strides over the last few years. And one of the pivotal points in doing so, to your point of following us and looking at the social platform and seeing how we're talking about our people, it came to me at a Vistage group meeting. We were one of our speakers, his name's Jim Canfield. He has a book, and I think it's the CEO Tool 2.0 Kit or something like that.
Okay. But
Jim's, he just said something and it made me realize I need to do that. And what it is I started to publish a letter that goes home. It gets mailed home. So the roommates can read it, children can read it, your spouse, significant other, guardians, whatever, they can read it as well. It talks about the month that we just had, and then it talks about the individual that exemplifies all of our 8 core values. So our core values is inspired. We want our people to be innovative and creative, nurture one another. We want them to be selfless, doing the right thing, just saying, get over your ego, just drop the E and go. And P, being passionate, get fired up, and don't be frustration. Passion and frustration are neighbors, and they can share sugar sometimes.
Absolutely.
So where was I? I was with passion. So then we also have the integrity. We want to do the right thing always, even when no one's looking, and respect. That's exactly what it's about. We have to be depositing respect and trust into one another's fictitious bank accounts throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's just got to be there. And if you don't, you have to have the conversation, have the integrity to do so. So you put it out there. You don't speak in metaphors and loosely. You're very direct, but not too harsh on them. And then we want everyone to be excellent and excel so that we hit our goals. And dependability. We want to be able to rely on you. So we talk about that individual that is highlighted in that month, how long they've been here, why they're being nominated, and of each of those values, what is it that they've exemplified? And then the final paragraph is essentially what we need to do and where we're going. So this letter kind of game changed it for me because I was already building the values. I started with the executive leadership team and the management team, cast a wide net, and we came up with, actually our CFO, Shannon Davis, came up with Inspired. We all loved it, so we kept it. It's a little long, typically when you do core values, because we run on EOS, which is the entrepreneurial operating system. And they always say, they recommend no more than 7, 5 to 7. And so we have an extra one, and so far we're keeping it until we look at our business plan next month. We're going to debate it again. So we did that, and we started with nominating. And I used to do a lot of town halls. Again, still kind of in the pandemic, still talking to them, able to now talk to them in larger group settings, but sprawled out. Yeah. And they were nominating their peers, so we got them used to that. We were giving out awards, so they would get a custom-made, genuine Jet logo with the Inspired on it, as well as a gift card. We also have a swag bag, so they were able to get recognized. They were able to get all that, and so then this letter started the next layer, and we've been doing that. Actually, where are we at? August right now. That'll be my 19th or 20th month doing it. And I'm actually getting a lot of feedback on those letters. One of my production supervisor at night came up to me. This must have been 6-7 months ago, Jim. He goes, "You're talking to me." That's me said. He goes, and this letter, I got it. And he goes, "You're talking to me on the floor here." And I said, "I'm talking to all of you." It's I don't like to blindside people. I don't like to play that politicking game. Yeah. But I also know there's a time and an opportunity how to handle things. And so I tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I don't hide things from them. And it's better than being taken off guard. Because when I came from the floor, it was hard to know what we're doing. Where are we going? Like, how's the company doing? Is this product really worth it? How come we don't deal with this facility issue, or how can we allow this type of behavior from these individuals, or what have you? So it's good. It's been a good journey to get there. And then I think in more recent time here in the past year, I ran a couple of book clubs after we brought in the Lean Sensei. I realized that, we got to pause on this and then integrate it later. Yeah. We have to go back to the kind of a foundation now. And so we're essentially, I tell my team, it says, we're flying the jet while you repair it. That's essentially what we're doing. And it's been a good task. It's been difficult. We make a lot of traction at certain times of the year. Other times we're just too busy with solving our concerns and improving our processes or our products for our customers that we serve. And it really, at the end of the day, it comes down to people, because any business can replicate a product or a process. Sure. They can't replicate people. So I want to continue to do more, which is why I finally hitched up with the entrepreneurial operating system, so we can have a framework. Since I'm more of a strategist, And in that journey of finding out I'm a strategist, I actually brought in the predictive index, which is an expensive software, but it's about behavioral types. And I loved it because the psychological effects of it is, this is who I am, these are my shortcomings, and this is how you coach and mentor this person because you have a stronger personality.
Yeah.
So that was a part of our cultural journey. And we don't really leverage that anymore due to a little bit of the cost, and it's more about the business right now. But
what was your profile? I'm a maverick. What's your profile, Nate?
Strategist. So
okay.
you and I are probably close in passion and the high AC, you know, that stuff. So,
absolutely. That's awesome.
But one thing it is, I didn't know this, Jim, but out of the 20 million people that are on that, I found out that the strategist was 1.7%. And I said, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm messed up or something? And they said, no. They said, you're exactly where you should be. Mavericks and strategists, and I think a pioneer.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that typically are the ones leading companies and are disinhibited. And I just happen to be a little bit more rigid with my thought or process. That's what I've learned.
Exactly. Yeah.
I absolutely love it, but that doesn't mean anything. It just means if it's going to be supported. I asked my team. We all knew that we needed to batten down the hatches a year ago. And we said, okay, we'll put on hold this for right now. But that was a part of that journey as well, is understanding the people deeper so we can coach them. And we also found some interesting things when you started creating job profiles within that database. Yeah. Like, holy crap, I've got someone on the damn customer account management team that would really shine in final inspection.
Yeah.
It's like, we have them on the wrong seat. So we didn't do a lot of dramatic changes with that because, again, you're dealing with the human being there and you just have to get to know them. And some of the folks really want this job or this role, or they think that's for them. And when we put data in front of them, that was what was interesting, as they started to say, I am this, I am this, I am this.
Exactly.
Like, wow. It's also saying that you're in the wrong seat.
Yeah.
No way. It's like, it's right here. So it worked a little bit, but we didn't get to enjoy it for the longevity. I think if we kept practicing that muscle, it would just gotten better. But that was another kind of brief, I'll say, step for a good year there. And from that, we started to galvanize the team again about this framework for our business, being that strategist. So I brought in the entrepreneurial operating system. So Gino Wickman's book, Traction, they do a really good job of breaking it down. And I'm not going to talk about it specifically, but what I love about it is it's just like rowing in the same direction. And if we have, if we're in a canoe, this is the best way I can word it. Like my coach that took us, that helped implement us. He said, look, I could be rowing in front, you could be in the back, we could just go in circles because we're rowing in the same direction. We need to be opposite. So now you've got us rowing opposite, and now we're able to make momentum, but we're aiming for this target across the lake, but we keep drifting left. What this does is these weekly level 10 meetings that we have through my staff and my staff, it keeps us aligned to those goals, those metrics, the vision. And I know, I'm a visionary. It's one of the things I naturally just flex into, but some of my people are not. And this gives me an opportunity to put my vision out there, articulate it, or rather just word it in a simpler means, and then they can contribute to it. So they speak up more, they ask questions. So that has also helped our culture because it's installed the accountability. And we've done a lot of studies in that time period too, mainly from Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Yeah.
So we wanted to start with, you got to start with trust, right? And everything that we do, we have to be able to trust you. So there was an absence of trust at Genuine Machine because I sent the survey out and I said, we can't have accountability because everyone goes, I want accountability. Yeah, you got to start with trust. And trust requires that we have healthy conflict.
Right.
And healthy conflict means that we don't get emotional. We don't try to eat each other. We reach an agreement. And now that we have agreements, we can get to accountability. And ultimately what the board, what our owner wants, what I want, what my other leaders want, results. Yep. So that's kind of been the entire path here leading up into this year. So EOS has been active with my team. We're pushing it down a layer to the management team this quarter and going in.
That's
because our
awesome.
fiscal year ends on 9/30. Yeah, it's been phenomenal. And I'm ready to start the next leg of this culture journey. Because when I don't know a lot about your past, Jim, as far as working in the machine shop and all that, but I just remember being mentored.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have great mentors, just
Yep.
like I did. I could sit here for 5 minutes and list them all. The issue that we were starting to have is values. If I say respect and I ask you to write it down, and I have to write mine down, and we ask the next person, it means something a little similar but different.
Absolutely.
So when I say passionate, when I say integrity, it doesn't land all the time. And sometimes we have our team elect members within our community that don't always show us that mask all the time.
Yep.
Because there are masks that people wear. And they look at us like, why did you elect this person? So I need to kind of put these fundamentals together. So the fundamentals I'm speaking about are culture-wise. So culture-wise is a great firm. Mr. Friedman's been, gosh, he already ran a company and sold it. I think it was an accounting firm, and now he does this. And culture-wise is something I'm going after next.
Okay.
And what he has, if you visit culture-wise, you'll see that he has 30 fundamentals. And what it is I don't have them committed to memory because this is on my to-do over the next 2 quarters to go out to a culture-wise event, understand how to properly initiate this, because if you don't initiate it well, it's not going to land.
Right.
And it's all giving root in that discussion about, this value means something to you, means something to this person. We're going to break that down, and we're going to say we want to have the most excellent customer service. And the most excellent customer service means this. And you continue that ritualization at your meetings, your daily stand-ups. So we have daily accountable tier meetings every day.
Okay.
Tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have level 10 meetings every week. Myself, my operations, my finance, my quality, and eventually we'll have the other teams, engineering, production, et cetera. In those meetings and in those daily accountable meetings that we have, the fundamental gets talked about every day. They'll read it off, they'll read what it means, and then they're going to have to ask what that means to the people. So I'm not really concerned so much with my team. I know it sounds bad. I want to make sure that leadership's on the floor when that happens.
Absolutely.
Because we have to be there to field it, and exactly, you got to be the nest, right? You got to kind of mom them up here.
Yep.
And not be too tenacious and anything really. You're just there to support them, and you want to make sure they're comfortable, because a lot of the types of personalities that we have within manufacturing, they're silent.
Yep.
They're strong silent types, or they're loud.
One or the other. There's not a whole lot in between. Yeah.
It's either you're this spectrum or that spectrum. So we want to make sure we know that this group, this type A, is going to speak up, and then it's this type B that we gotta make sure we pull it out of them too, so they know that you're going along with us, and you do have a say in this, and this is where we're going and why we're going there. So I'd say that kind of gets us up to kind of where we're at right now. And where I want to go with it is installing that in the next fiscal year, ritualizing it. But my ultimate goal is to essentially weaponize my culture so that the people that are out there in businesses right now that are looking for a journey where we're going to listen to them and develop them, that is part of it. The other part of it is the customers will also want to do business with you because of the integrity aspect and the fact that you're getting good people and you're getting them out of their own heads and out of their own way. And you can show them, no, you are able to achieve this. And the get the skill set up, and get new suppliers. We need partners that are going to support us and where we go and grow, specifically with the new prospective clients that we're catering to in these projects, but our existing as well. Our existing accounts that got us here, we have to continuously spoil them and delight them. And it takes people to do that.
Yep.
It really does. And there's a lot of talk about AI and automating in there, but people are still what make it happen at the end of the day. Even if you do fully automate your shop, you still have to have someone who knows how to program it, someone how to diagnose it, so you still have to take care of your people.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And
Nate, let me ask you a couple of quick questions here. You said that you're in the very beginning, you said you're onboarding 12 new employees. Um, that must mean that, I mean, you're obviously doing the right things, right? Because you're attracting these people. How are you interviewing and making sure that these new employees are a good cultural fit?
that's a great question. Thank you. So I've spent enough time hovering. I don't hover as much anymore, but I do get called into certain interviews,
Mm-hmm.
depending upon how vital the role is to the business. So I've also done a lot of learning and self-reflection. You always have to look inward on your own mistakes and call yourself out. So each time I've learned from we call it failure, but really it's not a failure unless you don't learn from it. So each time I learn from these, I said, okay, that didn't work. This didn't work. So this go around, for example, I onboarded a new quality assurance manager, and rather than kind of letting them come in and doing these things and all that, I was very quick to galvanize the team and say, I need everyone's support. The best way to onboard someone in this role is to let them walk the process from cradle to grave. And since you're all process owners, you're going to spend X amount of time and X amount of time and X amount of time. And I'm going to, so I lay out this whole map, and that's been very successful. But in the interview process itself, we have got qualified personnel that conduct these reviews, that vet them and bring them on site. So our HR manager, she's phenomenal at getting a lot of candidates, getting back to them, coordinating it with our internal staff. So we get them right when the opportunity's hot.
Sure.
Then we get them into the room, start doing the interview process. So we stick them with a buddy, and we have a training matrix for every department. It's a color coded, needs training. It's got drop down menus in it, and just says, okay, here's safety, here's your standard, annual training that you have. Then you have department specific, and what there's a gap right now. I need to get procedures in there, but we're working that as a team. But the fun part is as they started to realize that all this work I'm asking them to do, I'm like, you now have a roadmap. You just follow the roadmap. There's no guessing. There's just do this to go A, B. Oh, we didn't do C, no problem. Go to E, F. Yeah. Now you go back to C and D, and so that's been helpful, beneficial. Additionally, the empowerment, I think, and that comes through getting to know the individuals that you have, serving their teams, so that they can feel empowered now, rather than I'm just going to not say anything because we needed a person in here. It's like, no, if they're missing work or they're consistently late, or we need to have the difficult conversation with them so they understand they're not meeting our expectation. And so that's been getting a lot better too. And it right sides some people it just doesn't work out. We've onboarded 11. We're hiring 12 more. And we've onboarded 11 here since end of May, beginning of June.
Okay.
And a lot of it's been mainly our direct labor workforce.
Mm-hmm.
The direct labor workforce is pretty much our biggest push at this moment, just as things start to normalize, because our industry in aerospace is normalizing. It is back to near normal levels. So yeah, got a lot of good stuff in front of us.
That's awesome. So, Nate, to me, and this is what I work with my clients, and I've said it multiple times here on the podcast, culture is simply the alignment of corporate and leadership values and the values of the team. And you've done a great job of aligning those things to build out the culture. As you look to genuine 2.0 and the culture that the cultural journey that you continue on, how much are you going to involve people on the shop floor, and different operational areas of the organization, and shaping and forming that culture of the future.
That will always be, it's hardwired in my DNA to do it. So I don't know how else to lead, manage, and hold myself accountable without instilling that, and without having those subject matter experts that are pretty much taking grenades on the front line.
Yeah.
And if you're going to lead any team or platoon or any, you have got to have Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership. Yeah. And when you read that book, when I read it, I'm assuming you did too, Jim, is just,
I got an opportunity
makes you really go
to meet Leif Babin at an NTMA event with
nice.
the co-author. Yeah, and it was absolutely phenomenal. One of those starstruck moments. I mean, I don't know if there are many celebrities that I would be, jaw on the floor, like giddy. But I was definitely giddy when I met Leif. It was pretty special.
No, that's absolutely amazing, and something I should share since we're learning one another is back in that terrible day for all of us in our nation, September 11th. My wife was pregnant with our first daughter, Jade, and I came home and I just said I was actually going out to stare it to do CMM Apogee software training. Yeah, and so I remember I was late too, of course, because I was much younger and I overslept. and so I'm getting up and I'm like, my wife's calling me and I'm on the cell phone. I'm like, what? She's like, you need to turn on the radio. You don't know what's going on. I said, what are you talking about? So I turned the radio on. I was like, what the heck is happening? So I wanted to get back home and tell her I want to go in. I want to become active duty. And she says, look, I know that you want to go into the Navy and go to BUDS and try to go become a SEAL and all that, but you should just stay home and help your friends. And they need people here like you to help get them their munitions, ordnances, weapons, planes, helicopter. I'm like, she's right.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lose what I had with my wife and my kids. So I've always taken that approach since September 12th of 2001. It's like, that's what I'm doing. I'm here to serve, and this is my way of serving. So
that's really neat. And that story actually gave me goosebumps, man. That's a really neat,
wow.
short little story. Well, for me, I was working, and I was actually selling used cars at that point in my career, in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Wow.
And
Western Michigan.
Yeah, buddy. And, I walked in, I had been showing a car. I walked into the break room where we had a TV, and all of a sudden the footage cut to the towers, and I had no idea what was going on. And it was just, so your story just evoked a lot of feeling within me, right? And I think that anybody of our age, I don't know exactly how old you are, but we're roughly within the same decade, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
Anybody that is our general age, older, maybe even some that are younger, that's a moment that lives inside of my psyche forever, right? So just you bringing that up evoked my own journey. I did go to a naval office and enlist.
Wow.
And unfortunately injured myself before I could deploy to basic training, cut both flexor tendons in my middle finger, couldn't do what I needed to do. I was going into the Navy as well, though. I was going in to be a aircrew rescue swimmer. I was a much fitter person. And so that's my story with it. And so just you sharing it gave me goosebumps. And I'm sure there are people out there who will listen to this and have a similar reaction to that story. So while you didn't serve, I can really appreciate and I feel with you on what your contribution has been to the people who do serve. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that too, because you're right. It is such a personal, I like how you said it's in your psyche. It's always burned in there. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, every year I get
yeah,
teary. It doesn't
yeah,
matter how long it's been, I get teary every year. And even just thinking about as we're recording this now, I got a little emotional, a little choked up. So, yeah,
yeah, no worries. I get it. It's totally allowed. I mean, you
yeah,
should feel your emotions and you shouldn't block them, but
mm-mm.
they come boiling out later.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Nate, back to genuine and the culture. I know that you use EOS, which is phenomenal. You push the rock, you do the EOS, you do the Vistage. You're looking at culture wise. How are you measuring the effectiveness of culture currently? Are there specific KPIs or metrics that you look at to measure your culture?
No, we're failing at that. And I could say that because we just actually had my L10. And they're on Fridays. And one of the things I mentioned is that we have got to go back into understanding our engagement. So at the beginning of our year, which comes up in October, we're going to start to engage with our employees directly on, obviously, anonymously, excuse me. They're going to tell us what they think, what we can improve. So we're going to start asking for that unfiltered feedback
Yeah,
so we can begin to make them actions and understand them a little bit deeper. Admittedly, I've kind of I've highlighted some key points, but I've missed some of the things like soft things that we've done for our folks. And so one is that we've given them a Veterans Day off because we serve the war fighter a lot over here with what we do.
sure.
So we want to honor them and celebrate that day. And it's also another soft one that we've done is I want them to celebrate themselves. I took this from another company I had the pleasure of serving before. Is they gave any day of the month that you're born in that you can have it off. It's just a holiday for you to say, "Hey, happy birthday."
That's cool.
Um, yeah, I've also gotten to the habit now. We run Paylocity here, so we do get a score from Paylocity. I need to get a little bit more ingrained with my HR manager on what that score means and how we're leveraging it because I've not done what is that? I think it's called the NPS score or something like that.
Yeah.
But I've got to get into that to understand what we should be doing a little bit more of. So there's more to come, and it's just on the docket. I just haven't done it. We did a couple, and we started to go to work, and it was that trust survey that we did,
Sure.
and that's when we realized it's like, okay, we need to develop trust, and we started to. It took a bit, but we exposed some folks that were in precious leadership position. I say precious because they're going to follow whatever you do. So if you're a bad leader, they're going to act out and be bad. And I've learned through the Stoics and Ryan Holiday, who does the Daily Stoic. Marcus Aurelius is the one that said it the best, and it really resonated with me. It's like, they don't know if you're a good person or a bad person. They don't know if you're a good leader or a bad leader.
Yeah.
So you have to show them, and it takes people are on their own timeline there. So it's just been one of those things, but we are not doing a good enough job with gauging, metricing it or KPIing it and saying, okay, where are we at? Where do we want to go? I expect more of that to start to come with the culture-wise initiatives and installations, as well as this survey. We're going to run it. Right now we've slotted, we'll start in October. We'll do it 2 times a year. I do think that we may have to do it quarterly, but we're going to start with 2 times a year because I think we're going to have a lot of big mountains to move in the first one. And then if it's anything like the very first one we did, and then we're going to have kind of a reset where we were at 6 months later. Did we move the needle? And
Yeah.
if we move the needle on these, great. Now we can start to get some traction with it and continue to move forward. And right now we're doing, like, ironically today, I brought in pizza. It sounds so cliche because people complain, oh, the pizza lunch, right? But I've got some support departments that are doing a lot of hours. I got guys that I know what my responsibility. I'm pretty much 24/7. I have to look at emails, I have to respond, I have to read, and I do obviously believe in rest. I believe that you have to stay rested. You have to schedule that. So I do rest, but I'm always on. And these guys, their cars and trucks are still in the parking lot when I leave, and they're sometimes here before I get here. If not, they're here before I get here and they're here after. So I wanted to just say thanks to, and that's my engineering community and my quality community. So I pulled them in to say thank you, and I really liked it. I enjoyed kind of that round table moment, and I said, we need to do more of this. And I said, what, next time, because pizza lunch is so cliche. I said, what do you guys want to eat? I said, really? I said, yeah, just tell it. You want Indian, we'll get Indian. You want Chinese, we'll get Chinese. Yeah, we just got to listen to them and treat them the way that, that we want to be treated, or the way that they want to be treated. That's the platinum rule. But it's pretty awesome to see the changes. But now I need to get a track record going, to your point.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Well, Nate, usually I ask for 3 initiatives that you've implemented to change the culture. You've given us like 12. So I'm not even going to ask you to repeat these because you've given us so many. So I'm going to move right into the last question here. What are some last final parting thoughts that you have for the listeners of the podcast?
Well, first of all, I appreciate if you listen to the whole thing. I really am enjoying what Jim's doing for our industry. But we've got to do our nation a service, and every strong nation makes things. And if we continue to allow our jobs to go overseas, or allow our politicians, I'm not trying to use this platform for that, but the reality is that we have got to manufacture goods. We have got to get our folks realizing that the school system was built off of a draconic thing that was founded by the Rockefellers, which he got it from the Prussians, and it was to create docile workers. I want workers that are creative. I want workers that are innovative. And so we've got to get our trade schools. Skills Up AZ, which you're a part of, Jim, is huge.
Yep.
And loving the fact that I can send my staff, who are now going to be in the NTMA University, for math skills, to blueprint reading skills, to metallurgy. Yep. So we've got to continue to lead and develop our staffs, because guess what? Unfortunately, our fathers didn't, or they did the best job they could, and our grandfathers. And it's just, if you look back on, I'll just give you a vehicle, Dodge Power Wagon. We can go find one in a field up in Iowa right now. I guarantee you we can get it to turn over, because our forefathers built some amazing things. And
absolutely,
we just got to do it. We just got to get these folks engaged. And the only way to do that is they have to understand that work takes effort, and there's nothing more fulfilling than making something and creating it on your own. It's so such an experience. I can't even find a word for it that's powerful enough.
No, I understand the gravity of what you're trying to convey. I can't think of the word either, but I'm with you on what you're trying to convey.
Yeah, and I know that there's also a lot of awesome industries out there too, because most of my friends are blue collar friends, and they're plumbers, they're electricians, they're some guys work for Intel down the street as cybersecurity officers. And I know that that's not a blue collar worker, but the reality is they're all trying to protect interests. They're all trying to build their dreams and help, whether they have a family or not, out. And I think that we as manufacturing have an obligation to protect America, and that's through competitive sustaining advantage, through continuing to do science, tech, engineering, math, manufacturing, and that's where it's at. That's how we're going to always set ourselves apart. And I think the best influencer in the entire world is Mr. Musk for that. He's done such a great job of showing and illustrating that. And I love the guy because he says, I don't need a design engineer. I need a manufacturing engineer.
Right.
Exactly. Everyone wants to do design. It's like, it's not sexy. It's just, look, a rendering. It's like part of it. But when you're cutting ink and all, you kind of need to know your speeds, how quick you can push that cutter, Do you have the right flute? Do you have the right coating? Do you have the wrong cutter? I mean, there's a lot to it. And it's just, you're always learning. You're never, it's double negative. You're never not learning. You're
No,
always learning
yeah,
something new.
exactly. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's it's so it's so impressive. Uh but I'm humbled and honored by the opportunity to be able to speak and to be a part of your podcast, and hopefully I get to do more with them, with you in the future, with others. I think it's time. I've got some time where I can break away and do this, and I still got to stay focused on my ABCs with my business.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
but it's been rewarding. It's been every emotion. And I'm sorry to kind of plug this, but he's no longer with us. He's a hip hop artist, Nipsey Hussle,
Yeah,
used to say, "I've gone through every emotion. The only difference is I didn't quit." And we
I love it.
always feel the ceiling, and you just feel pressure. Diamonds are formed under pressure.
Yep.
So olives are, get olive oil without squeezing the olive. So it's just like we can do this. So
Yep, absolutely. No, I love it, and thank you, Nate, for being on today. This was an awesome story. I really appreciate your time, and you and I will be working together again. We've talked about that other project that I'm working on, and that's starting to take shape.
oh
So
wow.
I'll keep you posted on that. But
Mm,
we will tell
awesome.
more of the genuine story. We'll work together again. We'll have more conversations. But thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. And I would thoroughly love to learn more about that opportunity that you just spoke of.
It's on its way, my man. So, folks, just like that, another riveting episode of the Manufacturing Culture Podcast comes to a close. I'd like again to extend my sincerest thanks to our guest, Nate Ankrum, for sharing this insightful, interesting, eclectic journey at Genuine Machine, and for detailing the challenges he faced and fostering the empowering culture that he has created over the last 3.5 years. Uh, and also for giving us a snapshot of what it's like to navigate cultural shifts, specifically in our industry. From the origins of Genuine Machines culture to how it's evolved and what its future has in store, Nate has painted a vivid picture of a company that values not just expertise in technology, but the individual voices and stories that really make up its core. We've learned about challenges and triumphs of integrating company culture into recruitment, aligning culture with business strategies, and so much more today. These insights and advice Nate shared will surely inspire not just manufacturing industry leaders, but anyone keen on shaping and improving their company culture. Remember, folks, we barely scratched the surface of the wealth that Nate has to share. So for more episodes like this one, don't forget to visit our website, manufacturingculturepodcast.com, where we continuously shed light on the vibrant and dynamic culture of the manufacturing industry. If today's episode sparked your curiosity or inspired you in some way, shape, or form, we ask that you share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone else who might find value in these discussions. Also, please, please, please take a moment to rate and review our show. Not only is your feedback instrumental to helping us bring you more conversations like this one, but it rockets us up the charts. And the more and higher we go up the charts, the more people find us when they're looking for podcasts, which means we, again, get to bring you better content. So that's all for now. But as you know, the gears of the manufacturing world never stop turning. Join us again next time as we continue to explore the minds of industry pioneers and explore the thriving culture of manufacturing. Until then, have a great day and keep making things.